Hey, what up, my fellow WoW players out there? Most of you are here because you're on the verge of pulling the trigger on becoming the GM of a new guild that you want to create on whatever WoW server that you're on. But my question to you guys is, do you think you have what it takes? Now, you guys may be also wondering to yourselves, who is this clown in a red shirt, and why should I take anything from him seriously? Well, to introduce myself, I am Snuffluff, GM of JG Bigglesworth, and if you didn't guess already, we're on the Bigglesworth server US. And we have been a guild since Phase 3 of Classic, and we have recently also completed Naxxramas. And in case a lot of you guys out there had your finger on the skip button, don't worry. I'm not going to advertise my lackluster YouTube channel to you. I ain't no YouTube simp, so don't even worry about it, guys. However, if you guys are genuinely interested in what I have to say about what I think it takes to be a successful GM, well then stick around. We're going to look at reasons why you shouldn't be a GM, what I think it takes to become a GM, and some of the tools you're going to need to become a successful GM. Most of you out there are wanting to be a GM, but I wonder if you guys are wanting to be a GM for the wrong intentions. So to give you guys a little history of Snuffluff, 15 years ago during WoW Classic, or WoW Vanilla I should say, I dreamt of being a GM. I thought it would be cool to have the title and that having that power to say what you want to say and have all these people do whatever it is that you wanted to do would be cool. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that is probably the worst reason to want to be a GM. Now that I've come all this way and I've led a successful guild from Phase 3 all the way to Phase 6 of WoW Classic, at no point did I ever think that my title was awesome to have. Like, now being GM after all this time, I look at some of the players in my guild that all they do is play. They just log on, they play, and they log off, and I envy that. Like, basically, when you're a GM, you're an HR department all wrapped up into one person. You're having to deal with people complaining. You're having to deal with people leaving. You're going to have to deal with spots being filled in raids. There's a lot of burden being placed on your shoulders, and simply for the drive of having the title isn't going to get you to the end of whatever expansion it is that you're playing. The next malintent on reasons why you shouldn't be a GM is you want all the loot first. Now granted, you guys do have an argument as to why you should be given all the loot first. I mean, after all, you're putting in all the work after hours, you're making sure all the spreadsheets are looking good and making sure everybody knows all the fights, and you're making sure everybody's performing to the potential that they should be performing at. But no one cares about that. Or if some people do, it's not going to be everybody. And unfortunately, in order to complete a lot of these instances in WoW, you're going to need either 39 other people or 24 other people, depending on whatever expansion you're on. So keeping those other people happy is going to be the key to your guild's overall success. The last thing on the list of reasons why you shouldn't be a GM is you just want to have fun / you just want the power. Now let me tell you something. Being a GM isn't fun. You're going to be required of a lot of things that are not fun, and you're going to have to deal with those things that aren't fun. You're going to have to confront people all the time about why they're misplaying, or you're going to have to confront people about why they're violating the rules or how they're conducting themselves in raid. And second, I put these two, like the fun and the power thing, in the same category because some people view power as being fun to have. And believe me, having the power, I mean, sure, it comes with its benefits, but it's not like you can just trample all over everybody else because you have the power. Like, if you're just telling people like what to do, even if it's not most optimal, just because you have the power over them, they're just going to walk away from the situation. They're just going to leave the guild and go to another guild. So like, having the power is like, it's a responsibility, not something that can just be thrown around carelessly. And any of those reasons as to why you shouldn't be a GM can be discussed at length, and I could go on for even hours on each and every one of those subjects. And I could give you stories and all these other things, but I'm just going to leave all that stuff out of here and try and keep the video short. So moving on, we're going to now look at what I think are the qualities of a good guild master and what are some of the virtuous reasons to become a guild master. The first thing on this list, and most of you probably already have this characteristic because you clicked on the link, is you got to have the drive to want to be the GM. And more importantly, I think what fuels your drive during the course of the entire experience is wanting to bring happiness to people. And it's just like any business, like a business owner, he creates a business and he creates a product or provides a service that in turn helps somebody else in the world. Well, in WoW, people play WoW because it makes them happy, and you have to deliver that happiness to them. And you, as the GM, pretty much have that responsibility. So during the entire course of your endeavors, just make everybody else's happiness your priority. I mean, that's why I think that being the first in line for loot is a vice, because people want that loot, and you as the GM, it's more important to you that other people in your guild are happy, and the loot that you get should come last. And the first point of what makes a virtuous GM kind of segues into the second point, which can be discussed at length, I've come to find. But you're going to have the discipline to work hard and to learn every aspect of raiding in order to deliver everybody else's happiness to them. So a hard work ethic is definitely a positive virtue as a GM. You're going to have to be monitoring everybody's performances through Warcraft logs and making sure everybody's doing what they need to do. You're also going to have to learn every aspect of raiding. Like, I play a mage and I play a rogue, but I also have to know, I have to have a decent understanding of how tanks have to perform. I have to know a lot of abilities, or at least know of the abilities. And you're also going to have to know like how the healers are doing and how the rotations are supposed to be. You're also going to have to know a little bit about raid leading. Now, granted, you can assign raid leading to somebody else, but if your raid leader, your main raid leader, isn't there, you as the GM are going to have to pick up the slack, because you are basically the manager that can fill any hole in the business. So if somebody doesn't show up for work one day, the business still thrives because you can fill that in as the GM. And even outside of the game, there's a lot of work that you have to accomplish. Like, you're going to have to do a lot of research onto what fight strategies is going to be best fitted for your guild. You're going to have to make the spreadsheets necessary to complete these fight strategies as well. You're going to have to run potentially like a Discord or a website on the side and keep that actively managed, making sure that everything is organized there. And you're not going to want to do this all the time. That's why I think that the first reason I went over about drive, like, everybody else's happiness should be your drive. And as long as you have it in the back of your mind, like, man, I really don't want to do this, but I have all these people's happiness counting on me, that's probably going to serve enough motivation for you to get through whatever it is that immediate task is. And in the long run, it's going to get you through the end of the game. And this next reason as to what makes a virtuous guildmaster, or another quality that makes a good guildmaster, shouldn't come to a surprise to anybody, because it's being a good leader. And even if you aren't a good leader now, you should be willing to take on the challenges necessary to become a good leader. And I'll tell you right now, before WoW Classic, I probably was a mediocre leader at most. I probably still am a mediocre leader, but I'm a lot better of a leader now that I've run this guild for this long than I was at the beginning of WoW. And that's one of the things that's been so great for me about WoW, is I've kind of built this extra layer of character in myself now that I am a better leader than I was before WoW. I'm not going to act like I know what it takes to become a good leader. And there are books that go to length on how to become a good leader and, how to be charismatic and all these other things. A lot of things that I am not. But I will say that you are going to have to know when to compromise and when to stand your ground. See, when you form your guild, you basically have a loot system. You're going to have some ground rules for everybody to follow, and you're going to be tested on those rules a lot. And the bigger your guild, the more you're going to get tested. And so a lot of the times you're going to have to stand your ground, and a lot of other times you're also going to have to know when to compromise. So the important thing is to listen to whoever else you're raiding with. A lot of the times, like, just sticking to like a democratic vote amongst the guild as to how a certain situation should be spelled out is sometimes the best option, but other times you're just going to have to go against what the majority think, because it's what's going to be most beneficial for everybody else's happiness. And I will say this, I've had to stand my ground a couple times, and it's ticked a lot of people off, and it's caused a lot of people to leave my guild. And it's not that I was standing my ground because I didn't want people to be happy. I mean, it turned out where I mean, some people, they're just unhappy with the loot system and they just want, they're happier playing at another guild, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with somebody leaving the guild to play somewhere else where they feel they're going to be happier. But you're going to have to stick to what makes you happy and to what your player base is and what makes them happy. So, I mean, standing ground is a wielding of power, and you shouldn't be swinging it all the time. You should use it at very calculated moments in order to preserve the integrity of the system that you're building and you're trying to achieve. And there's a lot of things that I'd like to talk about what makes a virtuous GM. And one of the last things that I'm going to say about what I think makes the best GM is somebody that leads by example. So if you're telling people to come fully consumed or come world buffed or whatever, you have to be the poster child for that. You have to make sure you're dumping all the gold into consumables, or making sure you have all the consumables ready for raid. You have to make sure you have all the world buffs at raid, and you're going to have to play at your highest potential. Like I deal a lot of damage as a mage. I'm one of the top damage dealers in my guild, but I'll tell you this, I know of people in other guilds who weren't as good of a performer, and everybody left because, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. They look at the logs and like, hey, I perform much better than my GM, who's like basically just slack and he's not popping consumables. He's not even showing up to raid with the world buffs. It's like he doesn't even care about us, you know. And as a GM, you're going to be seen as a strong contributor to the guild who's trying to make everybody happy by going above and beyond what is expected of the raider. So even if you're setting low expectations for a raider, you should perform at the highest to your capabilities. I mean, it's just going to pay dividends in the end. And this is also going to help for when you have to confront certain raiders on their poor performances, because when you're having these discussions with raiders like, hey, how come you're not popping this? How come you're not popping that? How come you're not coming world buffed? How come you're not doing this mechanic the way everybody else is doing it? I mean, if you're not a good performer, they're just going to look at you and laugh. They're like, yeah, but you don't do that. Why should I do that? So as long as you perform to your best and you're doing everything that is right, then they don't have that. They can't use that against you. And it's just like, yeah, they'll just sit there like, yeah, you're right. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And most of the time they'll just tell you like, yeah, I'll perform better. I'll do this. I'll make sure I come to raid with the consumables that I need. And I'll make sure that all this gets done. That way everybody else can be happy. But anyway, so moving on, let's go to what tools you're going to need to become a good GM. The first thing, you're going to need a Discord. So I'll go ahead and I'll open up my Discord for you guys. So, I mean, let's move this over to this channel here. Boom. So yeah, this is my guild's channel, JG Bigglesworth here. I mean, I've even paid some guys on Fiverr. Like Fiverr is a good tool. Like if you need a design logo, just go to Fiverr. They've made my avatar down here. They've made this little token thing, and it's kind of nice. Also on my Twitch stream as well, I use the backdrop that they gave me. But yeah, the biggest thing I think now is just to have Discord. I remember back in the day when it was like Ventrilo and TeamSpeak, and then your guild had another website, and it's like, to me, that was all beyond me. But Discord has made all that easier. So, and it's free, so might as well just create a server, organize it, and yeah, that's step number one. Step number two, let's look at some of the add-ons here. So I didn't really prepare like what exact add-ons you're going to need, so I'm just going to kind of go through my add-on list. But I mean, obviously Deadly Boss Mods, Guild Roster Manager. This add-on is awesome because it will show you when people like level up in your guild. It'll show you when people leave. So if somebody wants to leave in the middle of the night to not cause drama or whatever, I mean, you'll know that they left because this will tell you, hey, this person left at like 2 a.m. last night. And then you can ask the person like, hey, what's going on? You know, and you know, sometimes it's nice to get an explanation. Other times you know why they left without even having to ask. So, but yeah, Guild Roster Manager, I mean, it's an excellent add-on. Weak ores, there's a lot of weak ores out there that help you raid lead or are going to help you manage the guild. So weak ores is definitely something you're going to have. As to specifically what weak ores you're going to need, just go to the wago.io website and type in like whatever instance, whatever boss that you're having an issue with, or whatever boss you think you're going to have an issue with, and there's going to be add-on, or there's going to be weak auras up there that you can upload to your weak auras, and they'll pop up during raid. Let's see. Moving on, cross gambling, man. We're GDKP guild. We're degenerate gamblers. If you want to create some fun in your raids, man, do some cross gambling. There's nothing better. If you guys want to know what cross gambling is, basically everybody that goes in, say we go in for like 1,000 gold roll, so everyone has to put everyone goes in. They don't have to put up any money, but everyone rolls 1 to 1,000. Whoever gets the highest roll gets paid out by the person who gets the lowest roll, the difference. So if somebody rolls a 900 and somebody else rolls a 200, the person that rolled the 900 gets 700 gold. Exorcist raid tools, I mean, this is going to help you as well, because Exorcist raid tools is nice because it'll tell you like what people are wearing, what buffs they have, who's popping consumables, and it's a really nice feature to have. Oh, another feature I will say, I'll go back to Deadly Boss Mods. Deadly Boss Mods, not many people know about this, but there is a way to check your raid's durability. So if you type in /DBM durability, it will scan everybody in your raid who has Deadly Boss Mods, which should be everybody, and it'll let you know like how many broken pieces people have and what their average gear wear is. So if you can see if people are starting to break or whatever, and see who to slam on because they didn't repair before raid. And the last tool that you're going to need is Excel, though you don't need Microsoft Excel. So you guys can actually, there is a program called Open Office. They have like a whole suite of things. They basically got everything that Microsoft Office has, but it's in a free form. So you can actually go to the openoffice.apache website, I think, or Apache Office, something like that. But it's all free downloads. So they give you all these like different features and stuff. And if you don't know a how-to spreadsheet, don't shy away from it, because it's something that you're going to use in the real world at some point. And if you don't, I don't know, I feel like you're going to get left behind, because I use spreadsheets for so much. But to give you an example of like a spreadsheet that we use a lot, so I'll take a look at our GDKP next Ramis spreadsheet that I use. So yeah, so you're gonna have to like, and this is all like a custom made spreadsheet. There's a lot of formulas in here, and we go, I mean, this is to record all the loot and stuff. And I mean, this is what we use for GDKP. If you're thinking to yourself like, oh, well, I don't run a GDKP, I don't have to do any of this stuff. Well, you're eventually going to have to do it, because let me show you another one that I have, and that's for the 4 Horsemen assignments. So we had to do 4 Horsemen, and these, you kind of have to give people a general idea of like what's going to happen, and you're going to have to assign people certain positions and whatnot. So you're going to have to learn how to do spreadsheets at some point. So, and again, it pays dividends, I mean, if everyone knows what they're doing during raid, it cuts the amount of wipes that you guys go through. It helps build morale, and it helps keep the whole guild engine going. All right, and to wrap this video up, I mean, I basically told you guys what I feel are all the reasons you shouldn't be a GM. I also told you all the things that I feel make a good GM. And I also told you guys all the tools that I use. So honestly, if you guys are still motivated to become a GM, well, there you go. That's my formula. I mean, there's going to be a lot of other GMs out there that probably disagree with some of the stuff that I say, and to each their own, that's fine. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to run a raid, or run a guild, I should say. You're going to have your hardcore guilds that are trying to speed clear and trying to get everything done fast and one-shot everything. And you're going to have other guilds that are just kind of a little bit more relaxed about everything, and they're going to take a little bit longer. But, there's people that's what they find fun about the game. So just cater to whatever your player base is, really. And in the end, you're going to pull a lot of things out of the game if you're a GM. There's a lot of responsibility thrown at you, and as long as you handle all that responsibility, it's going to translate into some real world benefits. Like, now I'm a much better spreadsheeter. Now I can tell, I'm not afraid to like talk to people and let them know like what my concerns are, or to confront them about issues that I have with them. So I think overall it's been a good experience. And if you're up for all of that challenge, then I encourage you to become a GM. Peace.